各位观众朋友，晚安，我是杜希，欢迎收看《以打看世界》，一起看世界。原住民族语的学习、传承和存续是许多人关注且努力的重要焦点。在今天节目的一开始呢，我们首先就要透过全球部落之声，一起来了解国际上对于原住民族语永续推动了什么样的计划与进程。透过语言，我们与世界沟通，形塑自我认同，表述历史与文化。而语言呢，也是我们学习、捍卫人权、参与社会的重要工具。因为语言，各个族群保存了历史、传统惯习、记忆、独特的思维模式，也借由语言来建构属于我们自己的未来。而现在呢，世界上存在有大约7000种的语言，其中呢有2680种处于消失的危机当中。联合国将2019年定定为原住民族语国际年，强调语言也是人权，希望借由对原住民族语言的提倡，将族语存续纳入在联合国体系内规范准则的设立当中，并且创造分享知识和有效做法的友善环境，强化国际间的合作与和解，由此呢更进一步的推动共生共好的发展，也就是要在语言、发展、和平与和解之间建立连结。杜希在7月中旬是前往了瑞士日内瓦，参与联合国原住民族权利专家机制的会议。在会议的期间呢，为您专访到了从2016年起就参与在联合国原住民族语国际年相关会议和推动工作中的重要推手之一。现在就一起来了解，究竟原住民族语国际年是什么，又有什么样的愿景？Good evening, I'm Duhi Maduka. I'm here at Geneva. This is for the occasion of United Nations Expert Mechanism on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and I have a special guest right next to me. He's going to talk with us about the International Year of the Indigenous Language this time. So could you please introduce yourself?
Hello. Thank you. And my name is Alexei Tsikarev. I'm from the Russian Federation, representing Karelian people. It's one of the Finno-Ugric peoples. For example, our closest relatives are Samis and many other indigenous Finno-Ugric peoples. And back home in Russia, I run an NGO, an indigenous NGO, which is called Center for Support of Indigenous Peoples and Civic Diplomacy Young Karelia, Nuori Karjala, in my language. And we deal with indigenous languages projects and also cultural projects. And capacity building for communities, especially for the youth. And I recently concluded a mandate with the Expert Mechanism on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and was fortunate enough to be elected to the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, and commencing this new mandate in January.
Are you the youngest member?
In the forum?
You're a forum?
I'm not sure, but most likely.
And also as an expert, were you the youngest one?
Yes, that's true.
Yes, because I know you're in the Youth Caucus. I think that was back to 2010, 2011.
Yes.
It was quite long ago, yeah. So that's why I would really want you to share something with our audience, because at first when you came to the United Nations, have you ever thought you will become the expert of the EMRIP and also the member of the PFII?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about that, or if it's your goal is to step in this professional, like this area?
Yes. I didn't think about being a member back in 2010, for example, when I first came to the Permanent Forum meeting and we went there for the first time, and then I participated in the Youth Caucus and for 2 years probably. Then I also went through the OECHR Indigenous Fellowship Program and attended UNITAR training program for peace building and preventive diplomacy, and some other trainings with WIPO and other organizations. and also had a little internship in the Moscow office of OECHR. So, and this training gave me a lot of good knowledge and experience how to navigate the UN system in terms of human rights machinery here in Geneva. And then there was a vacancy at the expert mechanism, so I applied and was fortunate to get through the selection process. And actually, in the note of the president of the Human Rights Council, when he appointed me as expert, he mentioned that. So in my case, it was very important to bring youth perspectives, indigenous youth perspectives, human rights and advocacy and so on. So I think they appreciated this experience in the Youth Caucus.
This is very important because even though we're all caring about the same issues, but from different perspectives, we can bring different creativity sometimes to find a solution. So now, can you just tell us why there's this International Year of the Indigenous Languages, why it's important, and what would be the goals of setting up this kind of, this agenda?
I think, I mean, when I was elected, my program for my term was to lobby indigenous languages, like linguistic rights and cultural rights and so on. And I focused really on other topics too, but these topics mostly. And in Russia, because my organization and the whole Finno-Ugric community actually is very focused on the indigenous languages, because our languages are disappearing and under-resourced, and we have a lot of demographic problems and problems with the speakers. It's like they become less and less all the time. So we understood that there is the same situation in many other countries in the world, and including, I mean, in North America, for example, in Asia, in Africa, everywhere. And there was a meeting organized by the Permanent Forum in 2016, and as chair of MFI, I went there, participated actively. And I think many of the speakers actually unanimously supported this idea of the International Year or Decade. It was, I mean, all the processes in the UN are quite slow because of the bureaucracy and different points of view. But this process was surprisingly very successful and quick, because in January 2016 we proposed at the expert group meeting of the Permanent Forum, and by the end of the year the General Assembly resolution was already adopted to proclaim the International Year of Indigenous Languages, and also ask UNESCO to lead on this process. And the main goal of this year, and the main reason why it was proclaimed, is the alarming situation with indigenous languages, the need for international attention to this issue, and to bring in the human rights-based approach to indigenous languages. And this human rights-based approach is still something where we see reluctance from different actors, because indigenous languages have been seen mostly from a cultural perspective, intangible cultural perspective, for example, of traditions, cultural expressions, and so on, but not from a human rights-based perspective. And I'm very glad that we managed, all the expert community, indigenous peoples, to stipulate in the action plan of the International Year of Indigenous Languages the human rights-based approach. So, and even so, there are regional meetings happening in many regions now, and we see that indigenous peoples also demand improvements in terms of the normative framework, because it seems that linguistic rights are not protected well enough. We have the declaration, of course, on the indigenous people's rights, but maybe there is a time to also have legally binding international instrument to support languages. Maybe not even indigenous languages as such, but languages in general, because many even bigger languages are under threat because of the globalization and many other negative trends. And I think we are in a good position now to advocate for such initiatives as the international instrument or many other good initiatives which are already happening or are going to happen. And one of the most recent developments is that there is an understanding among the actors, even many states and indigenous peoples, of course, and UNESCO, that this year we should not limit ourselves to only 1 year, because it's so little time. We should proclaim a decade to have more time to advocate and accomplish all the activities and all the goals we have set before us.
So I think it's a very important point that you just mentioned, that language is actually also human right, because for a lot of people, when they think about human right, they might just think of like right to life, right to water. That's like more of like common understanding. But when I come to the next step, to think about like when we say culture, it's a lot of time more than just performing arts that we think of. It's a lot more, with a lot more deeper meanings. But I'm thinking maybe the audience will not be so familiar with the idea of human rights-based approach. Can you just briefly explain to us what does that mean with human rights-based approach, and also what would be the difference if we take a human rights-based approach to sustain our language than treating language as just part of culture and then take another different approach to preserve it?
Yes. While speaking about human rights-based approach, we should understand all the interlinkages between linguistic rights and many other rights, because human rights are invisible, and we have, when we did a study on the right to health, for example, the expert mechanism on the rights of indigenous peoples, we also saw the interlinkages between languages and health, because those communities who have the intergenerational trauma in terms of languages, for example, in Canada, so the indigenous children were taken from families, put to residential schools, and their names, their languages were abandoned. And it became a big issue for the health, mental health, it triggered suicides, it triggered a lot of problems. So this is one interconnection. We also, for example, see, because last year we did a study on FPIC, on free, prior and informed consent, and it goes very slowly, and there was some resistance to integrate FPIC principle in the linguistic rights approach, because, for example, when states, even during this year, many states say that we are introducing new laws to support indigenous languages, we are introducing new concepts, new policies, and so on. But in many cases, they don't consult indigenous peoples while creating all these documents. So indigenous people should have the right to participate in drafting and adoption of all these documents. Even like in Canada, for example, we had this great initiative of the Indigenous Language Act, but not all were happy, since, I mean, the Language Act is amazing, but some Inuits, for example, they said that they were excluded from the process. The process was exclusive, weak, and they couldn't properly, express their views somehow. In my country, for example, in Russia, we also have many great initiatives during this year. So Russia was among the first to establish the National Steering Committee for the International Year of Languages. But the problem with that was exclusive approach to to select participants to that steering committee. Not all of indigenous peoples were heard. Many great initiatives coming out from indigenous communities were not integrated, and also including the Minister of Education, for example, says that biggest deliverable of this year will be a concept for drafting textbooks. But I didn't even ask indigenous peoples if they actually need such a concept, because the situation is so urgent, so there is no time actually to introduce useless documents.
Yeah.
There is time for urgent actions in terms of education programs, language, integration of the languages in the media, in public life, in courts, everywhere. Because indigenous languages should not be just for communication at home, for example. They should be used in different spheres. And this is a human right of indigenous peoples, to speak their language wherever they want to speak, to be able to use it.
Right. So my last question for you would be, like, what's your vision then? So we will have this 1 year, and hopefully that will become a decade. And what we see, like, if we have the decade, what would be the vision you have, or your expectation that we have 1 decade, that we focus on the languages, and then what can we achieve?
Yeah, there are two approaches on this. The majority of experts, indigenous peoples of states, they say that we should use the momentum right now and proclaim the decade straight away, because if we lose the momentum next year, there can be less willingness to have it. But some other experts, for example, say that we should really evaluate and analyze the achievements and the results of this year, and then building on those results, introduce a good program for the decade. I actually share the view that we could proclaim as soon as possible, in order for us to not lose the momentum, and also to somehow to keep the speed we now have, and maybe even improve the movement which is going on. So I think if everything is okay, and there will be some other meetings, because some regional meetings are still on the plan for the fall of this year, and also there will be a panel discussion here at the Human Rights Council in September devoted to languages. So, and I hope that building on those on this unanimous support to indigenous languages, the GA General Assembly will be able to proclaim by the end of the year, and we could start straight away to prepare an action plan and other documents. Because indigenous, there are good achievements, of course, but there is still a need to, for example, foster and improve capacity building for indigenous linguistic communities, just for them to be able to trust that their languages are vital, because sometimes we don't even see it. So indigenous peoples themselves in Russia, for example, many of them think that no, language is not useful anymore, so maybe it's not even necessary for the kids to learn it. There are some communities like this, and this capacity building and also international attention to this issue is very useful for the for breathing more trust and vitality to indigenous languages.
Yeah, that's a very important point, because sometimes the awareness should be from the awareness, and also like the motivation should be generated inside the community, inside our own people, so we can really have a continuous process that is we don't have to depend on outside resources anymore, because we know we are aware of the need.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not because we don't treasure this, it's just the environment doesn't really allow us to think about all these, like the urgency of having our language, keeping our language alive, and all these things.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing with us today, and hopefully we don't know, we're not so sure if we can have the decade, but no matter what, I think this 1 year will be very critical, and we will still have a lot of work to do. And it doesn't matter if we have the decade or not, we still have to do all these things, because as you say, all these rights are connected to each other, and also with our language. It's connected to health, it's connected to land, it's connected to our traditional knowledge, a lot of these things. So I would say it's a very critical point of time for all of us.
Yes.
And yeah, we would like to vision that within 10 years we can really make some progress in this regard. So thank you.
Thank you.